part of the Press Play Podcast Network.
Run, William, run! He's got blockers in front. 5, touchdown! Joshua Cribbs turns disaster into a score! Kick blocked! They blocked the
kick! We are back, Holly, but before we get started, let me put everybody on to what DraftKings got going on. Who are the pretenders and who are the contenders? DraftKings Sportsbook is still pumping out unbeatable offers every single game. New customers can bet just $5 on anything to get $200 instantly in bonus bets. DraftKings isn't stopping there. All customers can take advantage of a sweetener offer every game. Right now, the Browns are minus 2.5 on the game. Obviously, CJ Stroud might not be playing, so that's why it swings in our favor. If I was you, I'd parlay us minus the 2.5. And since I'm feeling good about this game, I'd say a anytime touchdown score with Kareem Hunt. Guy usually punches in on the goal line. Get into the football action with DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NFL. Download the app now and use code P3Browns. New customers can bet just $5 on anything to get $200 instantly in bonus bets. Only on DraftKings Sportsbook with code P3Browns. The crown is yours. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit www.1800gambler.net. In New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly. On behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort, licensee partner Golden Nugget Lake Charles, 21 and older, ages vary by jurisdiction. Void in ONT. Was rolling. Bonus bets expire 168 hours after issuance. See sportsbook.draftkings.com/football terms for eligibility and deposit restriction, terms and responsible gambling resources. Boom!
Welcome in with that good start. It's the Orange is Oranger. Tyvis.
When you win, just break me off a little piece. Yeah. I only want 2% of the profits.
Me too. I want larger though than 2%. Tyvis,
I'm a man of the people,
Oh,
I just want to help.
Well, you keep doing that. You do you. So you mentioned, CJ being, possibility still out on the concussion protocol. Do you know we could be having a geriatric quarterback matchup on Christmas Eve? Joe Flacco.
Case Keenum versus Joe Flacco?
And Case Keenum.
How old is Case Keenum now? Is he up there, right?
He's 35.
35 versus a 38-year-old.
Right?
You know what I like? I like our chances in this because obviously Case Keenum was the backup quarterback here behind Baker Mayfield. So, a lot of guys probably know him. They know his tendencies, which Kevin Stefanski should be a genius in this department. He knows what his strengths and weaknesses is. So he should be able to take those away. But I do feel bad for my boy Coleridge, man, because he's been balling this season. I still think he got that Rookie of the Year locked up. But I would have loved to have seen him against this Browns defense. But hey, if it's gonna help the Browns get to the playoffs this year and then possibly the Super Bowl, by all means.
Yeah, there's I read I think it was on The Athletic. I think it was our Jason Lloyd, friend of the show. He wrote about how that there's something happening here, and that's something that's difficult to properly appreciate because this isn't how it's supposed to go. And I feel like that's such a great way to kind of sum up what is really going on with this season, because it isn't. Like, this is not the way it was supposed to go at all. This is not where we thought we would be. This is not who we thought we'd have as our fourth quarterback in the season. And there is something very special. We're a bunch of misfits out there. I think he wrote, it's the year of the unknown, underappreciated, and underpaid. And that's like exactly what this season has kind of turned into. That comeback win against the Bears was just unbelievable. And Tyvis, I caused a little bit of a stir on Twitter, but it's fun because people just get crazy. Um, you
Wait a
know,
minute. You tweeted out. You was tweeting out during the game.
I tweeted at the end that my fear watching, so Joe Flacco, I'm fully aware. It's just so funny. People are crazy. I'm fully aware that Joe Flacco is obviously not our future. This is how it is for right now. Nor do I want him to be, or does that make sense? But it's awesome what's happening right now. And I think it is so incredibly visible what presence he brings as a veteran and as a franchise quarterback. Um, and it worries me about Deshaun. It just does. I just don't. And everyone's like, "Well, we're still trying," and I want to, and I know that he's not going anywhere. Like fully aware. And I mean, Brown's got to, they dug their grave. Like they're going to be 6 feet under regardless. So I get it, but it does. I mean, I think Joe has a feeling and he has a presence and he has an effect on all those guys in that locker room. I mean, I just don't know if I didn't think that Deshaun would have been able to do what Joe Flacco did in the fourth quarter. And everyone's like, what about the Ravens game? Blah, blah, blah. I'm like, yeah, one game, but one game. I mean, I just don't, there hasn't been enough for me. And that's where I don't want to go back to like, well, maybe, we have something in front of us right now that I think that is a rare opportunity with a guy like that, with these franchise quarterbacks that do not come around very often at all. And I think it helps you appreciate that much more. And hopefully it's driving these guys to play even better into next year. And I wasn't trying to make it about Deshaun. It was just because, honest to God, Deshaun's kind of been an afterthought for me. I mean, has he been for you kind of an afterthought since the Flacco fever has been going on?
Not not an afterthought. I mean, you can't think about him right now because there's nothing he can do right now. And like I say, for optic wise, he actually looking pretty bad optic wise because of the not hanging around the
Yeah,
team
can you
thing.
talk to me about a
When you
little bit
got
about that?
every
Like what that
Yeah, I
decision
mean
is like?
it just looks bad optic. Why this is a guy who obviously is the franchise quarterback, and like for the first week or so, I didn't care. I was like, okay, he's getting surgery. He's doing it in L.A. Blah 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 blah. That is what it is. But like think about this. It's been a handful of home games, and we haven't seen him. We haven't seen him
Right.
since he got hurt, and I just think to myself like, when you look around the league, Joe Burrow is there. He's with Jake
Mm-hmm.
Browning every step of the way. I understand that Joe Flacco is a veteran quarterback, and he doesn't necessarily need the help of you because he's been to the Super Bowl. But still, your presence around the team, you get people going. You're a very motivating factor. Everybody loves having
Right.
you around. I mean, you just hear about everybody talking about you in the off season or whatever I did post game interviews, everybody just talked about how they rock with you and stuff like that. And I just feel like right now, not seeing you there, and every injured guy that's on IR was at the game, and you're the only one that's there.
Mm-hmm.
I just think that's kind of bad on the optic side. But like at the end of the day, you got to do what you got to do to get back. If you feel like being in LA, is where you need to be to get back, then I totally understand that. I'm just saying from an optic standpoint, it don't look great. It looked like you just came here for the money. And even if that is the case, you're not supposed to let the world know that.
Yeah.
So from that standpoint, yeah, I think that Thursday night game, he will be doing himself a huge disservice if he doesn't show his presence for at least the last home game with the Cleveland Browns. But to answer your question about him being an afterthought, yeah, it's not. I don't think about him because it's like I said, that's a next
Well, yeah,
year
and he's
thing.
not doing himself
Right
any
now I'm
favors not
focused on
being
the
an
now.
afterthought, like you said. Like if he's not even actually around, like out of sight, out of mind, too, I'm sure is a big part of that. Because I mean, we get
Yeah.
it shoved down our throats with Aaron Rodgers. You know what I'm saying? And he was out the first freaking second play of the game, right? Or third play. I don't even know what it was, but
Something like that. But like I said, he's the future. He's the future of this team. So like I said, he needs to be around there. But right now, it's not about him. It's about the Cleveland Browns and Joe Flacco. He is nothing he can do outside of being a helping motivational factor on the sideline or a guy that brings some energy from the sideline. Which that you could take that with a grain of salt. But I'm enjoying the Joe Flacco thing. The reason I enjoy it is because everything, like, it ain't pretty. Don't get me wrong, it ain't pretty, but it's what I like about Joe Flacco is nothing rattles Joe.
Right.
Even though he said in his post game interview, like he said, yeah, when I threw 3 interceptions, a part of me wanted to just crawl in the hole and get away from everybody, but I can't do that.
Yeah.
And what I like about him is he's played so much football that he's had games where he's thrown 3 picks. He's also had games where he's threw 4 touchdowns.
Right.
So he's been through everything. So nothing should really rattle him. That's why this is the perks of having a veteran quarterback, not just a veteran quarterback, but a Super Bowl MVP quarterback, So I think that part of it is what keeps the team motivated. Even though it might not look good. What you can say about this Cleveland Browns, the identity of this Cleveland Browns team, when Nick Chubb went down, the identity of this Cleveland Browns team became that defense. And with that defense, it's not asking you you don't need to be Patrick Mahomes.
Right.
You don't need to be Tom Brady, because that defense is going to keep you in the game. Over the years, we've watched Patrick Mahomes and all of these great high power offenses just run the NFL. And this is the first season in a very long time where you can say you can win a Super Bowl with an average quarterback play. How do I know that? Because there's teams in the NFL that's winning with backup quarterbacks. The Cleveland Browns aren't the only one. There's a bunch of examples of teams that's still getting it done. The Bengals,
Yeah.
they're still getting it done with Jake Browning. So right now, I think the team with the best defense is actually going to be the team that wins the Super Bowl this year. And right now, this team playing with the chip on their shoulder. The best, I keep saying, the best acquisition that this team had in the offseason was getting Jim Schwartz, because he changed the entire culture of a team. And it's sad because you hired him just to be a defensive coordinator, but y'all didn't realize when you hired this man, he actually changed the entire culture of the team. This is the most physical team that I've ever seen. I was driving back home from the Cleveland show today, and I was thinking about how the attitude of this team has changed. Like last year, it was a couple of things that would happen, and other teams would get away with it. But this team is truly with the stuff. They with all that wild stuff. Anything you want to do, they about that life this year. Like I said, you think about the San Francisco game. They almost got into a fight before the game. This team truly has each other's back. And, unfortunately, we're seeing a lot of injuries, but it's because these guys have switched their style of play. They've been a finesse team. That's why we lost to the Baltimores and the Pittsburghs, because Pittsburghs and Baltimore historically has always been a physical team. And this is the first year that the Browns has provided some pushback, and they have been the aggressors. And teams aren't used to seeing the Cleveland Browns like that. So that's why they're overcoming a lot of these games, and that's what's equalizing them out. Even though they're dealing with injuries and the talent gap might be closing in, because at the beginning of the year, roster-wise, they had one of the best rosters. But now that you're dealing with a bunch of 2s, 3s, and 4s, now what makes up for that? Well, being aggressive, being physical. And these guys aren't scared to take no shot. And, these guys play with no hesitation, and there is nobody holding them back. And I think that's what's helping them win these games. No matter what happens, the next man goes in there, and it's not about making an excuse. It's about finding a way to win games. And for 9 games of this year, they have found ways. It hasn't looked pretty. The only game that looked pretty was the Cardinals game and maybe Cincinnati game. But outside of them 2 games, they had to find ways to win, and that's been the key factor to me. That's why I really liked watching this team this year, because you could tell that they realize that it's a time limit on how good this team could be. They understand that guys' contracts is coming up. Guys aren't going to be able to get paid. So the time to cash in is now. And I feel like everybody that's stepping in and going in the game realizes, hey, this might be the last year we all together. And that's the sad reality of the NFL. The Browns keep kicking that bill down the line, but at some point, you got to pay that bill. So it's going to be a lot of guys that's going to be gone. The only thing that's guaranteed is this year. And you can't think about, oh, well, we're this good now, so next year we'll be good. No, that might not be the case. The only thing that's guaranteed right now is this year that you win. And when you get that mentality, you treat games totally different. And I think this team has adopted that mentality. I apologize for taking up about 8 minutes, but I wanted to get that off my chest.
No, I'm glad you
Go
did.
ahead,
And it all, no, like I agree with that mentality that's changed. I mean, I say here, I feel like a broken record every week when I'm like, I want to win now, like not next year. It felt like the prep was always for the next year, because it was always for next year. It was never the real true focus on this year and really pushing in and going, all in. And it's like, here we are, and we've had probably every excuse to not be all in. And it's like, who's next? Who's getting off the couch next? Like, they calling Tyvis? I don't know. I mean, maybe. I mean, it's
Come on now, hold on, because listen, Holly, I done been on my Peloton. I've been in the gym.
I know.
Just in case, they dropping like flies.
That's what I'm saying.
I'm ready to put it on the line.
Like, where would you fall? Would you say, like, how, like if the president is assassinated, it's the vice president like is sworn in, and then I think it's like the speaker of the house, and then there's like, where would you fall in line, Tyvis, to get
Holly,
back on that field?
So this is how it works. Every team has, obviously they have their depth chart, okay, and then every team also has like a group of guys. Like they rank like free agents, like for your position.
Yeah.
So they have like maybe 5 or 6 free agents. So let's say it's the safeties. They have about 5 or 6 free agent safeties that they keep on the board. That they'll be like, if something happens and we need to bring somebody in, we're going to look to work out these 6 guys. Now, when you go to a workout, I'd say about 85% of the time, they pretty much kind of know who they want out of that workout, but they want to make sure that you're in shape and stuff like that. So to answer your question, where do I fall? I'm not even on that board. I'm not on no board. I'm just the radio guy, and that's just what it is. I am what I am now, and I am the analyst that keeps it all the way 100 with fans. And I think that the Cleveland Browns organization recognizes that, because have I told you about this when I talked to Gibbs about last year over this offseason when they asked his boss, because they got a new management and he got a new boss, and his boss, he said, do you want Tyvis back? And his boss said that yes, 1,000% yes. He said it was the easiest yes he's ever had with this man. The man 100% wanted me back. So I was like, man, that's pretty nice. Well, I guess they must pay attention to the post game show.
Yeah, they do. Shockingly, they do. They do.
I didn't think they listened to the post game show. They listen. The game is people that listen for them, and they probably. Yeah, you got that. You got that right. But listen, I don't. The thing about it is, everybody says that you can't. It's certain things that you can't say on the Browns radio network. I think I tiptoe that line because at the end of the day, I'm gonna always be honest. I'm gonna be honest. Like, I'm gonna always be honest and tell it like it is. And if you're gonna fire me for that, or you mad at me for that, that's your own fault. I'm just trying to help you out. One thing you can't say is it's not the truth. Like, that's the thing. It's the truth. And they say the truth shall set you free.
Yes, it will. I want to go back real quick to the kind of the camaraderie and the trust in the locker room, and the mentality of this is now. Do you also think too that, like, I'm getting like a very strong vibe too that there seems to be a whole lot more respect for Stefanski from the players this year than there's been in the past? I mean, I guess, like we talked about last week about it, kind of comparing this year to COVID a little bit, but there seems to be a really genuine respect for Stefanski across the board in that locker room. I mean, what say you?
I think players always had respect for Kevin Stefanski. I don't think that they disrespect him or didn't have.
No, but couldn't you say? Don't you feel it's more than what it's been?
Yeah, I mean, this year, because I think this year I think he spent this year being more open.
Yeah.
I think like for the past few years, he's always been this closed off guy. He's been like a mystery to people. Right. And he was a guy that got on the sideline, and whether things were good or bad, he looked the same. He showed no emotion. It was like the Bill Belichick thing. You show no emotion. And this year, I think what happened is, I don't think he did it. I don't know if he did it intentionally. I think it just happens. It happened organically and naturally. When you get around a group of guys, man, and you work with them every day, you grind with them every
Right.
day, y'all talk all the time, you start opening up and your feelings start getting involved. You start becoming attached,
Mm-hmm.
and that's the thing about the NFL. You never really want to get attached because it's a revolving door.
Right.
Guys come and go all the time. And you don't never really want to get, especially as a coach, you don't really want to get attached because this guy can be gone, like that. You can get traded, he could get released, whatever the case may be. So coaches try not to get attached, but I think they spent so much time together this year, going to Greenbrier, going through all these ups and downs and having these meetings with each other that he accidentally got attached to this group of guys. And now his emotions is showing on the sideline, when it comes to play calling. I mean, Joe Flacco threw a touchdown. This man starts celebrating. We were like, I ain't never seen this man do this in my life,
Yeah.
These guys make play. He's yelling at referees.
He's dropping
now.
the F-bomb in the locker
my
room.
guy's getting held.
I know.
Yeah, drop it, like all of that. So I think since he stood in the fire with them and he's been with them all this time, and you get around him, you just naturally tend to open up. It's like when you go to therapy session for the first time. When the movies where you do the group thing, the first time they go in there, the dude never want to talk, the guy or girl don't want to talk, but the more they keep going, they start opening up, and next thing you know, they running the group session. That's kind of what this is with Kevin Stefanski. He's opening up now, and you're seeing the results, man. You want to coach that got some fire to him, and that's like, it's not a bad thing. It's
Right.
good for this season because I think it's helping propel them over a lot of these games.
Yeah, emotion is a good thing, I mean, feeling things is a good thing. I mean, and I don't know, I think maybe too, seeing how the way that
I don't know about all that.
It is.
It
is a good thing.
I lack empathy.
I know, that's my strongest trait. So, opposites attract. But I don't know. I think too, like maybe the Jim Swartz, like having his guys celebrate the wins on the field and like, really tapping into feeling a lot of the game as it's going and having that feel for the game that we always say, like we want a guy that like that feels what's going on the field and knows what to do next, and like just those innate type of senses. I mean, I don't know. Maybe there's something there too where watching the defense kind of blossom like this from that end, because it isn't just. It's a job, sure, but there's so much more that's tied to it. I mean,
it would make you, Holly, it would make you want to step your game up.
Yeah, absolutely.
You essentially got pretty much the same key core guys. You added a couple of pieces on defense, but ultimately your core guys is still the same core guys. And they went from, middle of the pack to one of the best in 1 year. Then you see your defense, you see your D coordinator come in and make this immediately impact like that. It challenges you as an offensive guy. Like, how is it that he was able to tap into them? He don't even know. I've been with these guys since 2020. He don't even know these guys. And boom, he got the results out of them just like that. So he probably looked at it and said, let me step back and let me observe what he's doing and let me because like, don't get me wrong, Kevin Stefanski is still a young head coach. He's only been a head coach, 4 seasons now? So he's still trying to figure things out. And that's the things about good coaching. You see something that works and you adapt to it. You put it into your arsenal and you try it. Now, the only thing he need to do is figure out how to get them to not turn the football over on offense, and we had this thing rolling.
Good Lord, I know. All right, we're going to take a quick break. But before we do, want to talk a little bit more about DraftKings. DraftKings Sportsbook is still pumping out unbeatable offers every single game, and new customers can bet just $5 on anything to get $200 instantly in bonus bets. DraftKings, of course, isn't stopping there. All customers can take advantage of a sweetener offer every game day. So get in on the football action with DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NFL. Just download the app now and use code P3Browns. New customers can bet just $5 on anything to get to $200 instantly in the bonus bets. Only on DraftKings Sportsbook with code P3Browns. The crown is yours. If you have a gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit www.1800gambler.net. If you're in New York, call 1-877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369. If you're in Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 1-888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly. On behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort, licensee partner Golden Nugget Lake Charles, 21 and over, age varies by jurisdiction, void in Ontario. Bonus bets expire 168 hours after issuance. See DraftKings.com/football terms for eligibility and deposit restrictions, terms, and responsible gaming resources. We love you, DraftKings.
Hey everybody, it's Sam Amico from Cavs on the Break NBA podcast. Be sure to give us a listen for all your Cleveland Cavaliers recaps, analysis, breakdowns, draft talk, free agency. The list goes on and on. Give us a listen, Cavs on the Break NBA podcast.
It is that time. We got to find out who are the pretenders and who are the contenders. We are more than halfway through the NFL season, but DraftKings Sportsbook is pumping out unbeatable offers every single game. New customers can bet just $5, anything to get $200 instantly in bonus bets. DraftKings isn't stopping there. All customers can take advantage of a sweetener offer every game. Right now, the Browns is +6 on DraftKings, and the over-under is 38. I think I might take the under on this because I like the defense on both teams. Don't think it's going to be a lot of scoring there, so I would probably take the Browns on the +6 and take the under on the game. Get in on the football action with DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NFL. Download the app now and use code P3Browns. New customers can bet just $5 on anything to get $200 instantly in bonus bets. Only on DraftKings Sportsbook with code P3Browns. The crown is yours. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit www.1800gambler.net. In New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly. On behalf of Boost Hill Casino and Resort, licensee partner Golden Nugget Lake Charles, 21 and older, age varies by jurisdiction. Void in Ontario. Bonus bet expire 168 hours after issuance. See sportsbook.draftkings.com/football terms for eligibility and deposit restrictions, terms and responsible gambling resources.
Looking for new insights on the Cleveland sports scene with a unique side of Cleveland sports history? Then you found the perfect podcast. I'm John Sable.
And I'm Scott Sable, and we're hosts of the Sable Brothers on the Baseline podcast, a podcast about Cleveland sports, but not your typical podcast about the land's sports teams. Join us as we embark on a journey of sharing a unique and historical side of Cleveland sports history with the help of some former Cleveland sports stars and other historical figures.
All right here on the Sable Brothers on the Baseline podcast, part of the Press Play Podcast Network.
We are back. And we're going to talk about the Texans. So yes, CJ is obviously still a question mark, like we talked about in the beginning. I was obviously initially pretty worried about this game with how well CJ has been playing. I don't want to say like the Browns are going to just totally go and roll in if he doesn't play, but because they are, they're going to be tough. And the Browns haven't had much luck on the road this year, going 2-4 when they're not at home. So I don't know. How you feeling, Tyvis? Do you like that 2.5, or where you at?
I like the 2.5, but I don't think any game is there. The Browns it's a coin flip on the road, and that's what scares me the most. I respect D'Amico. D'Amico was a linebackers coach when I was in San Francisco. Really great defensive mind. Obviously, what he did with San Francisco last year is having like the number one defense. His defense is going to be a problem. So our offense has got to come to play. It's our offensive line. That's what scares me the most.
Yeah.
Now, I know they've been able to overcome it, but at some point, not being able to run the ball is going to catch up to you. Now, what I like is they play in a dome, so weather won't play a factor into this. You don't have to worry about, Joe Flacco getting cold or his shoulder stiffening up or stuff like that, because there won't be no weather conditions. When you get older, nobody wants to play in the cold. That's why Tom Brady went to Tampa Bay.
Right.
That's why my boy Sherm went to Tampa Bay. But They got to figure out that offensive line. I mean, they got Will Anderson, who they drafted in the first round from Alabama. He's supposed to be really good, so he's coming along. But like I said, D'Amico Ryan's defense is always going to be solid. You know, they got some nice, solid young pieces over there. I think that we'll be able to get after them because offensively, I'm not worried about anything. You know, Tank Dale's out. I don't know if Nico Collins is going to play. And I love Noah Brown. Go Bucks. He was my teammate in college, actually. Really physical wide receiver, by the way. He's been doing really well, but I mean, Denzel, G. New, and Martin Emerson, I think, can take care of him. The one thing I am looking at is the Dalton Schultz versus DeAnthony Bell. That's a good matchup for me. I know DeAnthony Bell played well to me. You know, I didn't notice him doing anything bad.
He played tough.
I got to go back and look at the Cole. He was definitely physical in the run game. I got to go back and watch him in the passing game. I know Cole Kmet scored, but I don't know exactly what we were in. I got to go back and, you know, relook at that play and see what coverage we were in because he was kind of left open on that play. But I think that Dalton Schultz and Noah Brown is obviously going to be the two key factors in the passing game. And Devin Singletary been playing really well. I think he rushed for 121 yards last week. So they got to stop the run, which we've been doing a pretty good job at doing that. The passing game kind of been the one that's been up and down. But without them having a superstar, I'm not necessarily worried about it right there. So I like the Browns' chances in this game.
All right, what are you? What's your prediction?
I got the Browns winning 21-10.
I thought you'd go about. Well, the line I think is the over/under is 40 points, and which seems kind of high, right?
The line is 40.
The line, yeah. Am I saying that right? I don't know.
Under.
Yes, it's 40. It's 40 points total.
Yeah,
yeah, right.
I'm taking the under.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yep.
I thought you were questioning me. I was like, wait a minute. I thought for a second I did know what I was saying.
No, I didn't. I thought I misheard you.
Oh, okay. You looked at me. I was like, wait, what? You know, this gambling stuff I'm getting to. Thank God for DraftKings because I don't know what I would be doing if I didn't go on DraftKings. Yeah, I think it's gonna be. I'll take the over. The Texans O-line is pretty banged up too. We're not the only ones, and I think it's gonna be a lot of scoring. So,
you think they're gonna score like that?
Well, I think on both ends. If we're hurting on both ends here, so I'll take the over.
Okay. At the end of the day, listen, the Browns need to win. They need to win out. You know, they got a really good chance of finishing this season 5-0.
Yeah.
And if you really want to make the postseason, the best way to make the postseason is to win out. And you got some very favorable matchups. You know, this game I'm not worried about the most. They do a really good job at stopping the run, and our run game has been terrible anyways. So I don't want them to hit the eject button on it and just abort the entire run game. I still think that they can find some creases there. I just think they got to be a little bit more creative, you know, maybe pull some guards, stuff like that. And I think that Jerome Ford got to have some better vision with the ball. I do think he misses a lot of holes. I still want to see my boy Pierre Strong in there. He had one explosive run that got called back off of a holding call, which is blasphemy, which is, I don't understand why this man don't get the ball even more. I still want to know the background of that story. I guess that'll be an off-season thing for me that I have to figure out. But I want to see them go to the run game. If anything, this is the best game to try to get it. Because if you could get it against a D'Amico Ryans who's 6th in rush defense, then you could be able to be successful for the rest of the season. So you got to figure something out at some point. At some point, that throwing it 44 times with Joe Flacco is going to come back to bite him. You know, so get that run game going. Try to find it secure. You got it in good weather where it's in a dome. Figure it out.
Right. Yeah, I know. It's all about balance, and that's what we're going to need down there. And the Browns could actually, in 8 different scenarios, the Browns could clinch a playoff spot.
Yeah, like it take like 7 things.
It's Browns win just for one. Just I'll read you one. Browns win, Bengals lose. Broncos lose or tie. I'm not even going to say a tie because they're going to tie. So Browns win, Bengals lose, Broncos lose, Bills lose, Dolphins win, Colts lose. And that's just one scenario out of 8, literally. That's like, I don't know how people have to have this time in their day.
I got a better chance of putting together a 10-leg parlay on DraftKings and hitting it.
Yeah, I would agree. Yeah, I mean, hey, look, this is crazier shit's happened, and this season is something. Sure, it's a far-fetched deal, but we are, I don't know, we're riding something. We're riding some type of high here, and it's really exciting. And I'm trying not to think too much into it and just keep going with it. And it seems like that's what they're doing too. They're just like machines, like just cranking these out and like let's go. So I'd rather have our momentum.
What I like about it is they're finding ways to win games. They're not taking no for an answer.
Right.
They're not taking a loss as an answer.
No, they're fighting back.
And that's what you want. You want a team that, yeah. And for the first time since I've been a Browns fan since '99 when I wore my Courtney Brown jersey, that I've watched this team actually fight back like this. And it's really nice to see, and no matter what, if this season ends, if it ends and they lose 3 games, if they go to the Super Bowl and win it all, it don't matter. Like, this has been probably the most fun we've had with a Brown season because of all the chaos and because of the resiliency, that this might go down as one of the most special Browns teams we've ever had.
Mm-hmm.
So I think the key point to this season is no matter what happens, they have put the league on notice that they are not the same old Browns. And they are something to be reckoned with. You got to bring your lunch pail when you play them nowadays. And that's what you really want, ultimately. You got a team that plays hard. And, if as a fan of the team, that's all you want. That's all you can really ask for. A team that plays really hard and never gives up.
Right.
You can get behind that. You can respect that. You can wear your Browns gear proudly.
Right. Yep. Totally. I think that's what we've always really wanted. I mean, and to be in that conversation, we know how hard it is to win a Super Bowl. But to be in that conversation is a feat in itself. And, they've been working their ass off, and it's really exciting to see. And they are not taking no for an answer. They're fighting back. They're making adjustments, and they're not giving up. And that's something we have not seen from them in a long time. So I'm excited. What are you doing for Christmas? Where are you watching the game? Oh, wait, you got to work. You got to work.
I will be watching the game in Berea at the Cleveland Browns facility until halftime, and then I'll go down to 92.3 The Fan studio downtown, and I'll finish watching the game, and then I'll be with Jeff Phelps doing the post-game show, and I'm going to go back to my in-laws after the game. So instead of the 2-hour drive, I'll have a 1-hour drive, and I'll spend Christmas there.
Very nice.
What about yourself?
Christmas Eve, I will be heading to my parents, and probably watch the game with my dad. He's got to work to a certain extent that day, but
that's nice.
And I'm gonna stay at my parents and watch some football on Christmas Day with my dad. So it'll be good.
That's really nice. I wish I could watch it with my father.
Yeah,
but I'm not going all the way to Jamaica to see him.
I was gonna say,
there we
he's
go.
In Jamaica. Yeah, he probably didn't think that he'd be watching football with me when he had me these years later, but here we are. So
he enjoys every minute.
I know he does. He does. All right, well, that does it for us on Orange is Oranger. Boy, I hope we're talking about a win next week. Crossing our fingers.
Go Browns.